Welcome to the Straight Red Card. We have done so many segments in a row. I literally just on automatic pilot. Welcome to the Straight Red Card. Thank you and joining our show.
It's actually just a recording.
Make sure you subscribe and like, and then share it with your friends. You know, I'm almost on an automatic pilot at the beginning, but I'm not going to be on automatic pilot once we start talking about our midfield depth going into the qualifiers. Because we are not talking about, when I say midfield, we've already covered the holding midfielder. So if you missed that video, go back, and that's the video on the 6. This video is about 2 8s that play in front of the 6 in Berhalter's system. So these are the other midfielders that would play in front of Tyler Adams if Tyler Adams were healthy, and, you know, God willing, he will be healthy. Yes. Hopefully
there's
that's
no if, there's
is. If he's healthy.
Is healthy.
What kind of existential argument are you making here? What if
I'm saying these are the 2 players that are going to play in front of him while he is healthy. He's always going to be healthy. He's not going to get another injury. I'm knocking on wood right now.
Jesus Christ, Brett. You know,
I feel like if you say if he's healthy, it's just throwing on bad juju on him. So,
okay, no. I thought for a minute you were getting like really philosophical. You're getting like really paranoid. So that's different.
One of us has to be in this situation. Okay.
I mean, I almost was wondering if you were asking if is an actual, verb, or is there such a thing as is? Anyhow, we won't get into that.
That's the whole Bill Clinton argument there.
Yeah, if that's what the definition of the word is. Because honestly, intellectually, philosophically, Bill Clinton is right. Is. Does is as a word. Anyhow, fuck it. I'm not going to get into that.
Mind blown. Mic drop. I'm not beached.
This is the pool. The pool is... And again, folks, this is just a big pool. All right. We're throwing a lot of people into the pool. Some people will be pulled out of the pool and be given resuscitation. Others will be left in the pool to drown. No, that's
I was going to make a comment about the deep end of the pool there, but yeah, you got me on that.
All right. So the list is Richie Ledesma, Alex Mendez, Tanner Tessmann, Paxton Pomykal, Christian Roldan, Dwayne Holmes. That's really arguable if he even belongs in midfield depth because of he's not really a midfielder. Anyhow, Eric Williamson, Sebastian Lletget, Yunus Musa, Luca De La Torre, and Weston McKennie. So we're going to start axing these people, and then we're going to cut them from the list after we chop them up, and we're going to be left with 5 for the midfield here. 5. We're looking for 5. So we got to start chopping, and I'm going to let Brett start the chopping first.
Has Ledesma even come back from injury yet?
No.
Hard to say he's in contention then, so he's out.
Last I checked, it still said lateral crucial ligament damage.
He's got to be on the up here soon because it's been almost a year now. So he's got to be recovering soon.
Yeah, he hasn't been in any of PSC's friendly games beginning of season, and then he is still listed on transfer market as injured. So there you go. That's the best I can do. I will axe Alex Mendez. Why am I axing Alex Mendez? Because he just joined Vizela, in Portugal, and he's yet to play a game there. We don't know how it's going to go. We will see. He had a rough last season. He also had some injuries. But, yeah, he's not ready to be part of this midfield discussion.
I agree.
You're up.
I am going to go on a limb here and Nick's rolled on.
Okay. I'm glad you did it. Yeah, Christian Roldan he's not in the conversation for the top 5. I know he had moments in the Gold Cup, but when it gets down to crunch time, the only thing I will say about that is that Berhalter might still consider him. in the top
I
five.
imagine only if injury occurs. I mean, personally.
I mean,
I guess that's my take and not necessarily Berhalter take, but I guess Berhalter could in fact call him up.
for me, man, there'd have to be like 4 injuries.
Well, he wasn't included in the Nations League, so
Well,
that gives me hope. That gives me hope.
it's good to have Berhalter hope.
Although I will say, oh no, never mind. Take that back. I was going to say Acosta would have probably played as one of these 8s in that sense. And quite frankly, even if Adams is healthy, when he is healthy, it is very possible that Acosta, even though we have him as a holding mid depth, could be playing as one of those 8s. So
yeah, that's the thing about this list, folks. If you're watching this show and you're like, "Where's fucking Kellen Acosta?" Well, you missed the last show. He's back in our holding midfielder depth, so that's why he's not on this list.
So it's tricky.
He is the backup to Adams right now. So why would we put him on here? Unless you really believe that Acosta's going to, start as an 8. I mean, I guess theoretically he could, but I think right now he is the backup to Adams. And so we had to make this a clean list. So this is just straight up midfielders. I'm going to get rid of Paxton Pomykal, and that's going to anger people. I really like Paxton Pomykal, but let's be really frank. He has just started playing as a regular, like getting really solid, good minutes for Dallas now. Like the whole beginning of the season, he was coming off the bench. He's coming off major fucking surgeries, major injuries, year after year after year after year, which is why no European team is interested. They want to sit around and watch for a while to make sure he's healthy before they renew their interest in him. So he's garnering no interest from Europe right now because of those injuries. So he's going to have to prove to them he can stay healthy for a year, have a really good season for a whole year. And I think that also goes for our national team. I need to see a lot more from him. I want to make sure he's really back. He's fit. He's healthy. He's confident with his legs before I put him on any top 5 list for midfielders again. Your turn.
Well, plus, I mean, we talked about this in the previous shows. We have to go on the consideration that we're talking about a qualifier that's about 20 days from now.
Yep.
So we can't throw in a Paxton, or in my case, in the situation we're at here, is a Tessmann. I've liked what I've seen from Tessmann.
Me too.
But I need to see him with the A squad, and he could get called in and get taken a look at. But as far as starting off strong, I think we need to call in our big boys who've had the experience so far and go from there. And then bring these players that we're talking about, whether it's Paxton or Tessmann or whatever, and have them trickled in from time to time, get some minutes here, get some minutes there, type of thing.
Right.
But right now, if I have to pick my top 5, Tessmann doesn't get cut. He gets cut.
Yeah, and we'll see how he does with Venezia, who are a newly promoted team into Serie A in Italy. And that's
America, isn't it?
I know, man. They've signed Tessmann. They are looking at Busio.
I thought they've officially signed Busio.
No, they haven't. They claim they did. And then SKC were like, no, you didn't. So they're looking at Busio. They signed Eric Palmer Brown. If those guys all play, shit. I mean, that's 30% of the starting lineup if they all play.
I'll take it. Even if it's low end Serie A, it'd be great to have that much experience coming in, week out.
I'm really excited for Tessmann about this because I really think his ceiling, we have not seen it yet. Like, I saw this guy start at FC Dallas. He was a nobody. He was a guy who's going to be kicking for whatever college fucking football team and decided to go play soccer instead. And he just you could see him get better every game. And I have not seen a game yet where I didn't think he was just getting smarter, wiser, better as a soccer player. I thought he was one of the guys during the Olympics I watched and said, I would have liked to seen a lot more of that guy. So Tessmann might be back in this conversation, but it's going to be down the road. Dwayne Holmes, I put him on this list because I wasn't sure what the fuck to do with him. because he's really a center attacking midfielder / winger. But last time we played him, he actually played in our midfield. So I'm like, well, if Berhalter thinks he's a midfielder, I'm putting him back in here as a midfielder. But
I thought he did well in that position, the limited time that he had.
Yep.
He had a lot of promise, and then all of a sudden he disappeared for a couple of years.
First of all, again, I've mentioned this before. This is not a rumor. This is an actually verified report from somebody who was there. He had a verbal confrontation with Berhalter. That's never good. But then there are plenty of reports of him having verbal confrontations with Wayne Rooney. Wayne Rooney was not a big fan of Dwayne Holmes either, and Holmes of Rooney when he was at Derby, which meant they basically force traded him. He wanted out as well, and now he's at Huddersfield, where he's got a challenging season coming up. We'll see how he does, but he's not in the conversation now. He's going to have to do really well with Huddersfield. He's going to have to score some goals, get assists, be a real lightning rod for that team, and then he might even have to send Berhalter some flowers if he wants to be considered again. But he's out.
Or at the very minimum, wear a picture of Berhalter wearing the the ain't nothing but butane glasses, little meme glasses.
Oh, I need to use that photo in the segment of Hoppy wearing that shirt, man. What a suck up.
You got to do what you got to do,
But, he did say, Hoppy did see he felt bad about yelling at Berhalter when he was pulled from the game, and that to make up for it, he wore that shirt. And Gregg seemed really, really happy. So he probably had a few cocktails in him. Yeah.
So that leaves champagne.
You bet.
Champagne.
Which Hoppy can't legally consume yet. He's not 21.
Here in the States, sure.
Well, it was in the U.S. The party was.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. I'd like to see more of those party photos. So then that leaves us 5, and that's what we're looking for. That leaves us Williamson, Leggett, Musa, Luca De La Torre, and McKennie to put in some sort of rational order here for not the 6. We already did that in the prior show. That's Adams. These are the 8s. We need 5 8s for the top 5, and then of course the top 2 is what we're really looking for here.
So I will say, starting off here, that we talked earlier about it, and when we talk about players who are suffering injuries, taking that in consideration. I know Musa is currently out until roughly October.
Yep.
From what I heard. So in that scenario, if we're talking about a position that we generally only take 4 people to anyways.
Yeah.
So while he's injured, I don't even think anybody in our depth really takes his spot at number. I would place him at number 5 in this scenario just because he's injured. I'm not saying that he would be 5 if he was healthy. If he's healthy, he'd be higher up the list. But right now, since he can't play here in 20 days or so, he's got to be number 5 for me.
Right. And then number 4 for me is Leggett. And
I'm cool with that.
It's not going to be Berhalter's opinion, but it's mine.
Well, again, and he's definitely going to make the 23 because we take 4. But does Berhalter end up playing him next to McKennie in this sense, or what? I don't know. Most likely, we'll see.
Man, I would love to see those 2 guys together.
Well, McKennie and Leggett?
No, Williamson and McKennie.
Oh, sure. That'd be great, yeah.
So
I dig it.
I mean, listen, and that's where it comes down for me. I'm like, shit, Luca De La Torre or Williamson. And I ended up putting Luca De Torre at 3, which totally conflicts with what I've said, in prior shows.
Sure.
Do you have him at 3 as well?
It's a toss-up, in all honesty. I mean, I could play either Williamson or De La Torre. I thought De La Torre has had great games with the United States so far. I thought Williamson's played well in the Gold Cup. I think Williamson and McKennie would work well together. But then again, I think De La Torre would work well with McKennie.
I know, think basically it's a toss-up.
McKennie's the linchpin as far as making sure that midfield plays well.
I think where it came down for me when I was thinking about CONCACAF and the battle and the grind and the physicality, that made me pick Williamson over De La Torre for the qualifiers.
I can understand that.
I basically said, who can handle all the physicality? of this. And I'm thinking, a better partner for McKennie, so McKennie can do a little more roaming like he likes to do, I think is Williamson. I think he can handle being that other guy who is in the defense for the midfield who can grind it out. Where
The in between McKennie and Adams in that sense.
yeah,
One that has
exactly.
kind of offensive and defensive roles. Let McKennie poach around the box if he can. Does that mean that's where he thrives?
Exactly. Whereas I think De La Torre is more like McKennie. Like he likes to get up the field. He likes to kind of roam and attack. Although, we haven't seen enough of him outside of his team, his club team, on the U.S. squad. So, listen, if it was De La Torre starting next to McKennie in the eights, I'm totally living with that. I'm liking it too. But if I had to pick tomorrow, if we had to play a qualifier against Jamaica, I think I'd go Williams. So,
and I think one thing we should mention, we mentioned it, I think, in the goalkeeping spot, but we are listing this 4-3-3 as more of how Berhalter plays the 4-3-3.
yes.
So I know some people will come out there and say, hey, why don't we consider Reyna in that position? And I know that in our last segment, I even had Reyna in that position.
Right.
But Derek wants to play it safe and say, hey, let's keep it clean. Let's go with what Berhalter will do, because let's not get our hopes up.
All right, Brett, when Berhalter plays an actual center attacking midfield, in some sort of 4-2-3-1, then I will be willing to negotiate on this more. But no, Berhalter is yet to play a CAM, a traditional 10, since he's been manager of the United States men's national.
Fair enough. We talked about in the comment section of either the last segment or the previous, or sorry, when I say last segment, I mean the previous shows that we recorded earlier on this week after the Gold Cup.
Right.
We talked about Lletget, and somebody brought up that Lletget's it just simply hasn't been the same since his injury back in like whatever it was 2017, 2018 or whatever.
Yeah, it's true.
So if you were to take the Lletget of old, would that be more or less playing kind of more of a center attacking mid, more so than the type of Lletget that we see nowadays?
No, I think that he just
more of a full-fledged.
He just did more. He was more of a box-to-box guy.
Gotcha.
When he was healthy, and now he's just kind of like this really conservative, mostly conservative back passing center midfielder who is still plays, relatively, it passes as defense. So,
I'd mentioned with Lletget, I go, if he's with our A squad, his only his strengths really show, because his weaknesses are always covered by somebody else, whether it's Adams or McKennie picking it up. But during the Gold Cup, those weaknesses were exposed. So,
and they were, but he did have moments still, like that whole miss by Areola. Lletget set that shit up, and Areola just failed to finish. He hit the bar.
If only Lletget had been the more creative player all Gold Cup, it would have been completely different.
Yeah.
But again, 99% of the time, he's always passing it backwards, it seems.
Exactly. It wasn't enough. I mean, yes. Did he have some moments? Yes. But it was few and far between. And I think that's going to do it. We've laid out for you our number 8s. Those are the two midfielders that play in front of the 6, which we already did in the holding midfield depth video. For those who, I love that our the folks that subscribe are typing things like, hey, can you use numbers so I can follow? And I'm like, well, we'll use the numbers, but some people don't know the numbers, so we're going to do both. And so, but everybody's been great with your feedback. Thank you. We appreciate it. Please continue to comment. We will continue to reply, as necessary and as we think is relevant. I mean, if you say something great, we'll probably just like it and move on. If you say something mean, we'll probably tell a lot of jokes. So don't be mean though, because Brett's really nice, but I'm not. Okay, Brett will just make you laugh to death at some point.
I attempt to defeat criticism with humor, whether it's positive criticism or whether it's constructive or just mean spirited. I feel like the best way to get around that is to laugh, because then you may be able to pull somebody into your fan base. And
That's why I always let you reply first. All right, because my first instinct
gotta
is
butter them up a little bit.
My first instinct is to punch them in the face. All right, until the next time on the Straight Red Card, make sure you learn some karate so we don't punch you in the face.